Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alaikum salam. Oh,
Inshallah, by the time they're hearing this, you'll be better, bro. But right now, Mohammed is ill, so make dua for him. And you came back from Tunisia, what, a week ago? That's why we've been slow on the
I
uploads.
came back on the weekend, Saturday. So it's Tuesday
Okay.
now.
Oh, just like 3 days
Yeah.
ago. Okay, cool, nice. Okay. How was it, bro?
Is well, it was it was busy. It was a bureaucratic nightmare, really, trying to
Mm,
continue on with the the paperwork fiasco that I keep dealing with every time I go. But um
mm,
maybe for the first time I started kind of thinking about what you said about Algeria and how you don't want to live there. And I was like,
okay.
this is really challenging. I don't know how anyone gets anything done because, as you can imagine, just to get one piece of paper, you've got to go to 6 different places, 5 different times. And how does anyone who has a day job ever do this? At least I had annual leave and I was
Mm,
just dedicated every single day. But there wasn't a moment of like, oh, I've got nothing to do today. Let me just relax. Like there was none of that. In between waiting for
mm,
certainly Art to open, we're doing olives. So we had olive groves to harvest, which was nice. I've never done that before, even though we've had olives for years. I've never been there during the season. So um, that was really nice. If
mhm.
anyone's seen my Instagram, I posted quite a lot on there. It was a new experience for me, and
Yeah, I
we
saw,
got
bro.
lots of fresh olive oil. Alhamdulillah, I brought some back. So it's quite an amazing experience. And it really made me think. I had I have this nuisance neighbor. May Allah forgive him and forgive me. Um, and he started harassing me during the olive harvesting thing. And I know it's only a smidgen, but it did remind me of um, what the Palestinian brothers and sisters go through in the West Bank um, in relation to their olive harvest and Zionist settlers coming and harassing them and stuff. And it was just a moment, and I thought,
Mm.
SubhanAllah, they have to go through this every year. It's such a difficult and laborious task, let alone when you're being harassed by people and sabotaged and stuff. So may Allah aid them and but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, how do you harvest it? Because I've only seen the mechanized things where we'll like grab the tree and shake it, right? How do you do it in a less,
yeah.
techie way?
So a lot of people get workers. My mother and my auntie and me, mostly them, I must admit, they did a lot of the hard work. But a lot of the heavy lifting was me. They would essentially just pick it by hand. So we only had one tool of scraping. So there's like this, it's almost like I don't know, it's like a plastic rake almost handheld, and you can rake the
Yeah.
tree and just take off the
Mm.
bits. But there's only one of those. So my mum used that a lot. If not, they'd share with my auntie. I hardly used it. Otherwise, you're just picking by hand. So you'll get like a branch. Yeah,
Really?
absolutely. 90% of it was done by hand. So by the branch, you just grab it almost like with your fingers and just pull, and all the olives will pop off. You're getting a lot of leaves and stuff, but we were sifting through probably more than we needed to because my auntie and my mum were saying, "Oh, I think the machine takes a lot of this out, but your OCD just doesn't let you leave all those leaves and twigs in there." And it wasn't until I went to
Mm.
the press that I realized, looking at everyone else's, I was like, "Oh, they got loads of leaves." Like I didn't have to do all of that. Um, so yeah, it was all by hand, which is I think the best part of it. And I did say to my mom, I was like, man, if we sold this, we could like slap a huge premium. If we sold this like in the West, for example, we could just say this is literally family handpicked. Like there was no workers involved. We didn't bring anyone in. We just every day tried to do it before the rain started coming in. And literally last day we did it is when the rain started coming in. So we managed to alhamdulillah finish it off. Um, I can't tell you how many trees we have because there's a lot, but I know that we had about 620 kilos. Um, that's yeah,
Nice.
they
Allah barik.
we got a car. Basically, the way they weigh it is because all this stuff was fascinating to me. I didn't know how they did it. There's like a community press, so
Yeah.
someone asked if I do it by hand. I was like 620 kilos. It'd take me weeks to do that. But we were literally banging it up into these huge sacks, putting it away until all the trees were done. Then we got someone with a car to take me and my auntie to a big press where they, olive press, where the whole village or the whole town, sorry, does it. There's a few dotted around the area. But you can imagine it's a farming agricultural town, so lots of people are coming at the same time. I actually went in the afternoon,
Yeah.
which you should be going in the morning, but we went there. The truck is weighed when it comes in, and then it's weighed when it leaves after this is loading everything. So they measure the difference,
Mm.
and then they charge you based on how much that is. So that's how I knew it was 620.
They charge you for pressing it based on the weight of olives.
Yes.
Okay, makes
Yeah.
sense. And how long do you think it takes you to pick one tree, to harvest
So
one
it all
tree?
depends on how much is on the tree. So some trees,
Yeah.
a few trees were quite slim, take you maybe an hour. Some trees literally took half a day. I know it sounds crazy, but I remember the first couple of days there were some really, like like really full trees, and it was endless. It just wouldn't stop, and you get a bit OCD. You're like, you don't
Mm.
want to leave any, and there's some that are too high
Yeah.
to reach. You got to bring the ladder and do it that way. But it was a really old school method of doing it,
Yeah.
and I'm really proud of my family for getting it done, despite
Mm.
age and health
Mm.
issues and stuff. They just powered through. Um, so yeah, alhamdulillah, like I said, there were so many people there in the press, like getting theirs done. And initially, it was all a bit chaotic, and I was like, "How the hell does anything get done here?" But slowly, I started seeing the wisdom and the process behind it. Um, Essentially, you unload it into these big crates. All the crates are numbered. You get a ticket, and that ticket is given to like a kind of like a foreman and a manager of the whole area, and he basically has them all stacked up
Mm.
in his hand, so everybody's going in order. Because I thought, oh god, we're going to jump spaces, and we're going to, and eventually calls your name when yours is ready to be taken into the oil press, and you just follow the process. Then you get called again when you're ready to. They pour it in, and then it goes through the whole process. And when the tap at the end, when it's all pressed and ready to be collected, they call you. Then you take your bottles and you take your canisters and all sorts, and you just load it in yourself. So you will see that in the videos I took on Akhitweet on Instagram. You can see right up to the end of me just opening the tap, and all this fresh olive oil is just pouring in, and I just take that home with me. And if you've run out of
Mm.
canisters, because you don't always know how
Mm.
much you're going to have, you can just buy more canisters there. So it's all really clearly laid out, and it was quick to learn. It's just
And then what do you do with it? Do you sell it afterwards, or you keep it
that's
at
a good
home?
question. I don't know what Mounty does with a lot of it. We took quite a few liters. I also discovered the there's a whole side of Islam in terms of agriculture that you just don't know about because you don't really live it. But zakat for
Mm. You mean
agriculture,
like
yeah, it
zakat?
was a zakat
Mm.
for
Mm.
agriculture was something that was new to me because when my auntie
Mm.
came and asked me, and I was like, "Oh, isn't it 2.5% like everything else?" She goes, "Okay." And then my mum came to me. She's like, "No, no, no, it's different for agriculture."
Nah,
Yeah.
son.
So I did a bit of research, and I understood that. I think it's around 5% or something. But anyway, there's all these laws that are different for agriculture, which I had to kind of quickly learn on the spot. So we did
Yeah.
that, alhamdulillah. But that's a
Mm.
side of the deen that not a lot of people get to experience, and that was also a nice learning experience as well.
Yeah. I think you pay a different amount of zakat depending if it was watered by just the
Yes.
rain or by irrigation.
Yes.
And the time of paying zakat on agriculture is the harvest
Mm.
time. Whereas with money and gold and stuff like that, it's just a yearly,
Yeah,
time. Whereas as soon as the harvest comes, that's when you pay the zakat on it,
absolutely.
isn't it?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
in my head, and automatically, I was thinking, oh, do I need to keep this olive oil for a year? But then I thought, well, the tree itself is wealth, and I've had that for the whole year. I've had it for more than that. So of course, it makes sense to pay it immediately as it's produced. But it was beautiful because the dean is just so beautiful in the sense that I calculated, okay, we got this much liters we got out of it. This is how much we're going to give away. Let's separate that. And my auntie, I think, went out and she knows who needs it and she knows who's eligible. So she went and I think she gave that out. But as far as selling it, I think she does sell some. When I came this year, there was still oil from last year still there that they were using. So maybe it just gets
Mm.
used throughout the year.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. When you get fresh olive oil, proper olive oil, it's almost neon green, isn't it? It's almost glowing,
Yeah,
crazy. And then when you look at this, a lot of the stuff in the shop, it's completely different to that.
absolutely. And this was like the taste was nice, but it had like this almost like spicy, hard aftertaste at the end, which
Oh yeah, for sure.
which
Yeah.
I was, I thought, oh, have we got different kind of olives? But someone told me that no, that just shows how good it is and how raw it is. And we didn't do anything, no medicine, no nothing.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Because some people will filter it. They'll take out, because if you leave the bottle like that, you're gonna have a lot of kind of sediment um building up at the bottom. Some people will filter that out, and then some people will. What else do they do with it? But there's another thing, I can't remember whether it's some sort of heating or something, which would basically get rid of that kind of spiciness or whatever it's called. So yeah, different people like it in different ways. But yeah, there's a shop here where it's like he's got the different types. Like, do you want that, kick at the back of your throat, or you
yeah.
want, different types, Yanni? So yeah, it's amazing, bro. That's a good experience, mashallah. And you were there for quite a while. So have you been there for that long, recently, like since you lived there? Assalamu alaikum. A few years ago, the conversation about masculinity and Islam popped up. And of course, I took a big interest in that. And some of you might know that I actually wrote a whole book on Islamic masculinity. I went to the Quran, I went to the Sunnah, I filtered out the red pill, I filtered out the feminism, and I came down to what a good Muslim man looks like. It's a really good book with tons of stories and examples from the Sahaba, from the Prophet ﷺ, from the other prophets of how to be a good Muslim man. It's entertaining, it's not too long, and I'm offering you the free first chapter. If you click the description below, then I will send that over to you. And then if you want to get the full book, you can get the full book. We also have the audio version. So check it out. See you around. It's called The Shepherd's Way. I think it was like 3 weeks, right?
Yeah, it was about 20 days or so. I haven't done that in a long time. I thought I would maximize the stay I could just to get as much paperwork done as I could. Still really didn't achieve as much as I thought I was going to achieve. But it's a process, and this is the challenge that my father faced, and this is the challenge I've inherited. So I'm happy to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah, yeah.
Yeah. Inshallah, bro, these kind of things, it's like a one-off thing. Once it's done, it's done. So inshallah khair. I went to the Algerian consulate the other day. It was a fine experience this time.
Yeah.
I actually found in that area, bro, any of these main areas in Istanbul, there's no parking. But we found parkings right next to the consulate, parked up, and just got it done. I think because I got this, I think it was a pretty big wasta, bro. A pretty big wasta last time. So now when they see me and they see who I am, they kind of like just push everything along. Bro, the woman, I gave her the papers and literally she was just looking through them. Okay. And then she saw the photocopy of my passport. And then when she saw it, she's like, oh, right, okay. So I didn't know they would all know of me like that, but that's good. That's useful. So inshallah, we're getting stuff done. Even with like my kids' Algerian passports, it's a headache, this process. But inshallah, it's a one-time thing, and then once you've got it, you just renew it, and inshallah, wouldn't be too tough.
I'm wearing the same clothes, so it's a seamless transition. I can't remember what you were wearing.
Me neither.
But
sometimes I think in like 3-4 episodes back to back, I might be wearing the same clothes.
Yeah,
and it's just because, bro, I don't even know. Like, I don't even remember. I'll wear something, then I'll wear a new thing, and I might just wear that other thing again after it's washed. And I don't even know what I wear, bro. I just cycle through it, whatever.
that's it, bro. The epitome of ultimate masculinity. That's what that is. So
Did you say epitome?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Epitome, bro.
Some people pronounce words differently. I mean, okay, that might come as a shock to you, but
so you're saying there's 2 ways of pronouncing that?
Most likely, this is a way that I've coined. Maybe.
Okay, the Akhitweet way.
Could be an accent. Could be an accent.
So you're talking about your. I'm gonna say it, bro. Your second wife. Let's just say it.
Whoa. Actually, I had
it.
to change ChatGPT's voice to a man's voice because my wife didn't like the woman talking to me. So we made amendments. Okay, so now I've got that really gruff Cockney geezer.
Oh, I like that. I think I've got that as well.
And then I did this thing where I told him to make his voice deeper, and then deeper and deeper, until it wouldn't go any deeper. And he just sounded like this. He's like, how's this sound? Is this good? And I was like, yeah. that's all. I like a British Batman talking to me. Yeah. So yeah, while I was in Tunisia, I was using it so much, man. I was using it for paperwork, writing up all sorts of contracts and translating all sorts of things in depth. The translation thing was a little bit iffy because I was taking photos of documents and telling it to translate,
Mm.
but it couldn't understand the documents a lot of the time. So I had to put those into Google Docs, extract, like copy the text. If you upload a PDF onto Google Docs, it kind of it pulls all the text from there, and then pull that text in Arabic and paste it into there.
Mm.
It's not that I can't read Arabic; it's I want to be 100% sure what I'm reading is what I think I'm reading, right? Um, and when you get to like high level, complicated official documents, my Arabic isn't like that. You know,
Mm.
my Arabic ain't at that level.
Mm.
Um, what was I going to say? So I had to keep telling it, like, hey, you're definitely missing out chunks here. Like, can you do that again? And it's like, oh, yeah, you're right. I did. I missed out this whole paragraph. I was like, okay, you're still missing things. Like, I had to keep telling it off. I also used it for uh, Arabizi. You know what Arabizi is?
Mm.
You know what it
Arabic and
is.
English,
Yeah, exactly.
a
It's like
mix.
وقت اللي يحكوا بالنوامر, you know, a 7 for a ha and a 9 for a qaf
Oh,
and
that's
that
what it
kind of
is. Okay.
that's what it's called.
Okay.
That's the cool.
Oh,
You know,
okay. I didn't
I
know that.
tried to
Okay.
describe it to ChatGPT. I was like, "Hey, can you like write the Arabic with English characters like they do over here?" And it was like, "Do you mean Tunisian Arabizi?" I was like, "Yeah, I think that's what I mean."
Whoa.
So
Okay.
I'm really bad at typing like that because I haven't grown up doing it, and it's not something you can
Yeah.
really learn. Like, there's no real dictionary to look that up. Um, so I was literally just saying, "Hey, tell this guy that I'm in a taxi and I'm on my way now," and it will just do it. Tunisian Arabizi. Look it up, guys. North Africans know, but it's essentially writing in Arabic with English characters, but a lot of the letters are substituted for numbers. So, like I
Yeah.
said, ha would be 7, qaf is like a 9, and there's a bunch of others that I can't remember off the top of my head.
There's basically, I think it's 2 to 9. I don't think there's anything for one. 2 is Hamza. 3 is Ain. Maybe 4 is nothing. 5 is Kha. 6 is Ta, I think. No, 7 is Ha. 8 maybe is nothing. And 9 is something I can't remember. So it's only about 5 of them, maybe. 5 of the numbers.
I'm trying
Yeah,
to
I wonder if
find it.
any other languages, adapt to the
Yeah.
Latinization of the. It's mostly because of computers and phones, basically, in it. Like they might not have the language of
Mm.
the keyboard that you use, and so you just end up using English, like Latin letters. Yeah, that's probably where it came from.
Oh, it was a game changer, man. It was a game changer. Yeah, I essentially asked, "Are you familiar with writing in Tunisian, where the text is in English characters and numbers?"
Mm,
And it was like, "Yes, I'm familiar with Tunisian Arabizi, the style of writing
yeah.
Tunisian Arabic using the Latin alphabet, along with numbers to represent specific
Mm,
Arabic sounds that don't exist in English." And then it gives you a
mm.
list of all of them. And it was brilliant. It was brilliant. Although it had a bit
You
of a
see, I don't even do
posh
that
tone to
anymore,
it.
bro. Like
Really.
I don't even ask it if it can do something. I just tell it to do
Wow.
it.
No, it's a learning experience. It's a learning experience. So, what else did I use it for out there? I used it for my olive harvest, which we just mentioned,
Yeah.
just to make sure. I wanted to know, is the harvest I got, was it a decent yield or not? And apparently, it was slightly below average.
Mm.
But I think it's because we picked it slightly early. I think that's what it was. Because the rain was coming and I was leaving, so I wanted to get it over and done with. Still more than we needed, alhamdulillah, but on average compared to others. Yeah, so lots and lots of things. And it made me think about just the independence of being able to travel. Like my brother in law just drove from Algeria to the UK a couple of days ago on his own. And my mum was like, "Wow, that's really amazing." Like, and she asked me, she goes, "Do you think you could do that?" Now, number one, I
Mm.
said, I don't want to be anywhere near France. I couldn't, I don't think I could survive in France for that long, just driving through it. Unless I did it with like what they called, like those horse blinding
Blinders.
things. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. Just not look at anything but the road. But, God, is that really bad of me? I don't know. Anyway, but then I started thinking about it. I was like, well, tech is so advanced now. I don't think I'd ever get stuck. My concerns about driving in Tunisia on my own and driving in any country on my own has always been if my car breaks down, what's the process? Like, what do I do? In the UK, I've got it. I know what I'm doing. Easy peasy. But over there, it's like, do I do I get this recovered and fixed at some random garage? How do I communicate to them what I need done? And general things, just general hiccups, or any sort of run-ins with the authorities or run-ins
If,
with
if
any
you're
other person.
if you're worried about that, bro, try living in Turkey.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I'm sure with the advent of all this tech, things are getting easier for you out there. I mean, you must be
I'll
using it
tell
all
you
the time in
something,
Turkey.
bro. When I first came here, it was kind of common practice to walk up to someone and just show them Google Translate, right? And like they'll read it and and then they'll understand what you want or whatever. But pretty soon, like a year after I came, maybe they just hated it. They're just like, no. If you
Really?
show them, they're like, get out of my face. Um, yeah, they really don't like foreigners here, bro. um,
Wow.
so yeah, I mean, of course, some are still fine with it. I hear of people who come here and still use it, and it's kind of all right and stuff. But yeah, I don't really use that at all. I will use broken Turkish pretty much. Actually, that is a way that I learned Turkish sometimes by
Mm,
looking Google translating it, and then I'll just say it to them. So it's like I'll that's how I'll learn a word or two here and there is by actually using it, shockingly, right? So I don't know how to say where is the, I don't know, office, let's say. I don't know what the word office. So I'll just look at Google Translate. Okay, office is this. Okay, then I go and use it. When you use it once, twice like that in real life, halas, it's gonna solidify in your brain more. So yeah, I don't although in theory it would work, and even Google Translate has that whole live kind of conversation feature. But I've not really used that for a good 3 years here. I just speak as
yeah.
best I can.
I mean, do you tell people there? This is a bit interesting question. When they ask you, do you tell them you're Algerian or do you tell them you're English?
Most of the time, 90% I say Algerian, but when it's in my favor, I'll just say British.
You're a sneaky boy, naughty, naughty. Although you're not lying, are you?
That's a
It
game
depends.
you gotta play, bro.
What's the reaction to both? So, what's
um,
it like?
Look, for the average person in Turkey, like Algeria is probably better because they know Algeria is like a Muslim country. Some of them know that Algeria was kind of part of the Ottoman Empire before and stuff. So they know it. Some of them they'll react. Some of them actually they'll be like, "Oh, Algeria! Oh yeah, you beat France! Yes, yes, great." So some have that kind of reaction. But like when I go to, for example, I'm talking to the police or I'm talking to immigration, I'll just say UK. Everything's UK. I'm British. I'm
Yeah.
white. I'm milk, bro. I'm white.
La hawla wa la
Yeah.
quwwata illa billah.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Um,
Another place where it's better to be from the UK is talking to landlords. I remember a friend of mine. He was looking for, looking to rent a place long term, and they kind of didn't want to rent to foreigners, and it was kind of like this. Um, I guess it was a stigma that foreigners are going to move into your place, and maybe in 3 months, 6 months, they'll just leave. And then you have to look for another tenant. Maybe they'll mess up the house, maybe this and that.
right.
Whereas Turks generally, when they move into a place, bro, they'll stay in that place for 5, 10 years. And so
Yep.
it's kind of calm. So at the beginning, when I first came, they didn't want to rent to foreigners, and so and they they generally they just think all foreigners are kind of the same, like they're all like these Syrian refugees. But my friend, when he's like half Arab, half English, and his wife is Pakistani. So when they asked, where are you from, okay, he's like, damn, what do I say? Because he would usually say, I guess, Egypt, like Arab or whatever. But in this case, that was not a good answer to give. So he kind of like pointed at his wife, so he wasn't lying, and he's like, Pakistan, because he just thought that would be the most favorable thing to say. So he said Pakistan. Then they're like, oh really? Okay, you sure? Yeah, yeah. And then I was like, yeah. So you got to pick these things. Even in the UAE, bro. In the UAE, yeah, in the UAE, I was always British. That always was in my favor to just be British rather than Algerian. The only thing is sometimes you'll build better rapport with someone if you're speaking Arabic and then you're Arab and then like, okay, this and that.
Yeah.
But most of the time, you know, a lot of people, bro, have that inferiority complex where if they speak to a Brit, they just give you more, I don't know, respect or just take you more seriously or whatever it is. Sadly, but that's the truth. So
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I've never really had to deal with that too much. In Tunisia, I'll say I'm Tunisian, but born abroad. Like I'll be very clear. So they've got that. Uh, in fact, a lot of them are very super helpful when they hear that because they actually impressed that I've bothered to come back and you know do things. Like I
really,
was tearing my hair out this time round. It was a very difficult trip this time round. Literally, the bureaucracy, as you can imagine. Go get this paper, go get that paper. 5, 6, 7 different idara just to get one paper done. And I went to a ketba, which is essentially someone who types out stuff for you. All right. I don't know if they have them all over the place. They must do, but at least in our town, um, you know, if you want a document done or written in a particular format or an official format, you go to this person, they write it out for you. You just tell them what you need, and they'll write it out, take ID cards, produce copies. I went in there, got some paperwork done. While I was sitting there, this guy comes up to me. He's, "Oh, where are you from?" I said, "Oh, I'm from the UK, but I'm I'm having a hard time. Like, I'm getting things done, but it's just so long." He's like,
yeah.
"Oh, I'm impressed. Like, there's a," because I told him about my dad and all that stuff, like me taking the reins. He's like, "Oh, not long ago, there was a Canadian guy. He came in here just like you, and he was getting this paperwork done just like you. He was getting
Mm.
pointed and around from pillar to post. Then he stormed in here, grabbed the paperwork, tore it up, and said he's never coming back." Yeah,
Oh,
and that was it. He
heavy.
gave up. So
Oh,
yeah, I can imagine. Like, I don't know how anyone gets anything done. Although, you know, whilst doing that, I've said this before, but whilst doing a 9 to 5 like job, like, what point do you take out all that time to go to different idarat and different things? And I suppose people who live there permanently and work there and everything, they're more in the know and they can kind of prep before they come to things. You know, like I try and prep myself before I even leave the country, but once I get there, I usually find out everything I've kind of prepped wasn't what it was going to be, and I
of
have to go
course,
to
yeah.
all these different places. Yeah, and then you have to also the challenge, and I'm sure you get this in Turkey maybe or any Muslim country. I say Muslim, but any foreign country is you don't know at what point the law and legislation is being awkward, or the person you're talking to is being malicious or weird,
Mm.
and you've got to kind of
Usually the
suss that
second.
out. Well, for me, like a long time was like, okay, this is just the process is really awkward. I understand the process, and then at one point it shifted. Someone I was talking to, I noticed they're being weird. They were yeah, they were just being malicious, and I lost it with them. Like I was like, okay, I know that he's being weird. I'm sticking it on him. I'm pushing for this, and I managed to bully him to do what I needed him to do because I
Mm.
noticed there was something untoward going on where he was trying to
Mm.
avoid his responsibility or avoid, you know, being caught or called out for something that he should be doing, right? And it was his job to do it. So it's that street level knowledge as well that you kind of need to know as well, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why, you know, in Algeria, I would never volunteer the information that I'm not from there, like I don't live there and stuff.
Really.
Um,
Mm.
I never thought of the idea that they might be more helpful because of that. Not sure. Yeah, not sure.
You'd be surprised. Like I hear stories all the time of North African generations like us, so second generation, third generation, that just abandon North Africa completely for France and Europe, etc. Never come back, never visit. You know, they might be their parents might be born and bred North Africans, but they just never had that connection. A lot of them don't have paperwork, can't sort it out, but they are very impressed if someone actually powers through all of that and attempts to to partake in the rat race and partake in stuff like that. Like, you know, people would come up to me in the street and say, "Listen," they would preemptively warn me or advise me before knowing anything I'm doing. They'd say, "Oh, I was friends with your dad. Listen, you need to come and stand in his place or stand in his shoes." And like, yeah, I know, I'm here. I've been doing it for years. Like, don't you worry. Um, People also take advantage when they think you're not about. Like, I actually got into a almost physical altercation with a neighbor who was harassing my family because since my dad died and my grand died, people try and take advantage, right? And they're like, oh, no one's coming back here. This is all for the taking, kind of thing, right? So they
Mm.
start encroaching upon borders. They start harassing, family members that are still there, especially when they're on their own. Like I've got my auntie on her own, etc. They think, oh, we can take advantage. We can push our boundaries, push our borders, break things. These are the things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warns us about. Uh,
Yeah.
these are things that we really questioned about. It happens
Mm.
everywhere. Like I've got a friend in Egypt. He deals with the same thing. Borders in rural areas are just problematic, right?
You got to
Um,
build fences and walls quickly.
yeah, because previous generations had bushes and marked things on the ground, but those generations die, and the ones after them die, and suddenly you've just got these descendants arguing over, oh, my great great granddad left me this, and my great 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 granddad left me that. Like all our stuff is very clear, but people want to push their luck. Anyway, this guy, like, he anyway, look, at the end of the day, he was harassing my family members. I got up and found out this was happening. I went to the site. This is where we're picking olives, right? I went over there. He comes out again, starts harassing her, not realizing that I'm there. So I go around a corner, start sticking it on him. He's obviously really shocked and not expecting it. Doesn't even know that doesn't know number one that I can speak Arabic. Doesn't know that I deal with all this paperwork. Doesn't even know that I know the courthouses. I know how to deal with all this stuff. Started like trying it with me. Surprised that I was trying it back. Couldn't like, just got so frustrated and picked up this brick and tried to throw it on me, not realizing that I was recording him the whole time. So I'm recording everything because I'm aware that police there, video evidence goes a long way. They'll always say, oh, have you recorded anything? But a lot of the older generation don't have that capability. They're not really
Mm.
tech savvy. I record all my interactions if I'm dealing with anyone in a, conflict scenario, or even if I'm like dealing with a funny tenant or someone who's just acting up a bit.
How do you record it? Is it just the audio or you're like vlogging
So
style?
no, like sometimes I'll just record audio if it's a
Yeah.
conversation, only because as well, like in the heat of a moment, I won't remember what was said and how to process it, or there'll be something that they said that I didn't fully understand, and I need to go back later and listen to it again and just understand. All right, this is what they meant. This is what they said.
Mm.
Um, whilst this scenario, more confrontation, more potentially physical, I was recording the whole thing, and I was like,
Mm.
"Yo, gotta get because this is like this could this could end up being evidential. Like the guy is essentially breaking borders and trying to come into my property. I'm recording him because if I have to defend myself, defend my family, whatever." And lo and behold, he picked up this huge rock, tries to throw it at me, but it was so heavy for him that he ended up tripping. Then I told him I'm recording. Then he freaked out. His brother came and started dragging him away, and they all tripping over each other. He's like, "You ain't got no right to record me." I was like, "I'm on my land. I'm recording you. Like, you trying to come in? What are you talking about?" And then, like
You
20
need to
minutes,
send me this video, bro.
I will, bro. 20 minutes later, funnily enough, I had to go to the courthouse for some other paperwork.
Mm.
Okay, so the judge and all that stuff. I'm there, bro, doing my paperwork. I look out, and the same guy's there. Somehow he's like he's known for just hanging around that area. He likes to see what people are going to courthouses, what people are going to police. He sees me in there, bro. He was shocked. I was on there on my own. I wasn't like with anyone, and he translated for me. I was in there doing paperwork on my own, and I think he was just like,
Yeah.
"Damn, this this guy ain't leaving." This guy, he thought I was like putting it, like taking him to court for like assault or something.
Right.
But what I will say, I actually went to that guy just before I left, and I actually sought to make amends with him and apologize to him for my own behavior because I'm not usually like that. I don't usually, start shouting and arguing with people. However, I had to make it known that I'm not someone you can just mess about with, and I'm here for my family. And my dad used to these people harassed my dad so much to the extent that my dad almost had to take off for the team.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? Like my
Yeah.
dad was trying to defend his mother and his sister, and now he's passed
Mm.
away, and my grand's passed away. It's just my auntie, his sister left. So I'm trying to step in and do the same thing. But these people, man, some people are just out to get you. It could be jealousy. It could be opportunistic. Um, and anyone moving to a foreign country where they're foreign in the land, this isn't just Muslim countries. This is going to be anywhere you want to move to, especially if you're looking for a more rural life. where things are a little bit more Wild West, which is an aspiration for a lot of people, right? There's a lot of people that don't want to go to the cities. They want to kind of go a bit more out there.
Yeah.
You might deal with things like this because yes, you're going to be seen as an outsider. Like the guy kept saying to me, "You're not Tunisian, you're Moroccan." Didn't even say English. Didn't even say English. He could have said English, bro,
Wait,
and that would have made
the
more sense.
Tunisians see Morocco as like a bad, like an adversary? All right, quickly, this is a call for all the ambitious and hungry Muslim men out there. I've got a free full guide on how to crush your dreams and your goals in the next 12 months. Ideally, you should be looking to accomplish 2 to 4 big, chunky goals in the next 12 months, and this guide shows you exactly how to do it top to bottom. You'll be actually shocked how much detail it goes into, and I've not left anything behind. It's completely free. It's for people who maybe they've accomplished some things in life, they're pretty happy, but they realize they're stagnating. They've still got some ambition to do more. They're still hungry to do more, but they're kind of not really getting there or not getting there quick enough. So check that out. It's completely free and go and do that and grab that now. The link is in the description.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
But this guy,
just
like,
saying it foreign, basic.
he's trying, I think because my mother was with me, he's trying to tell me, oh, you're Moroccan, you don't even belong here, it's nothing to do with you. I was like, dude, like, you stupid. Like, I'm
Just wanted
Tunisian.
some free land.
Yeah, if you say English, I would probably like sympathize with that a bit. Like, okay, I get it, yeah, whatever. Man, wait, I don't even have a Moroccan passport, man. So I need to get me that.
Yeah.
But yeah, just got to be prepared. Like these are the challenges I think that people don't necessarily think about when it comes to hijra or moving or whatever you want to call it, leaving the country. Like you might have had neighbor issues in the UK, and you've kind of dealt with them, and you know what the law's like, and you know what you can and can't do, what you can and can't say. But it's very much Wild West out in another country. Like I got stopped again. Did I mention this earlier? When I say earlier, the previous episode about being stopped by the police there in
In
Tunisia.
Tunisia. The second time, no, I don't remember that.
No, it's just so funny. Remember when I said that guy said to me, "Oh, the guy came from Canada and he tore up his paperwork and all
Yeah.
that." So that's the way I was leaving. I got the
Yeah.
papers. I was leaving, and I was just like, I was like this, bro. Like I was like talking to my mum about how stressed out everything is, how crazy it is.
Yeah.
And I was like moving my hands about, like, Mum. I wasn't shouting, but I was just like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. Like we've got to go from here to there. Cross the road, and this guy comes up to me wearing a cap like he was. He's like, "Hey, بطاقة تعريف." I was like, "Oh, here we go again." He's like, "Oh, haras, which is I never know the difference between shorta and haras. What's the difference? I don't know. There's different types of police.
I think it means guard. It translates to guard.
Yeah,
National
but like
Guard. I don't know.
maybe it's just the actual differences I can never really tell.
Well, in Algeria and in Turkey as well, in France, it's a French thing, to be honest. They have a certain police for the cities and a certain police for the countryside. So is that maybe what the Haras thing is?
There's a shorta.
Yeah.
Shorta is next, like nearby. Haras is in one area, and then you've got like Haras and Murur, which are traffic. Yeah. And then you've got gendarmerie, which I don't think we've got, but you guys have in Zaire.
Yeah, that's the rural police.
I don't even know, man. Anyway, this is another thing. You got to know who you're talking to, let alone when they come to you plain clothes. So this guy wasn't wearing any uniform or anything.
Yeah.
I was like, hey. I said, hey, slow down.
Where's your badge number, mate?
Yeah, exactly. I said, if you got عندك كارتة ولا بطاقة ولا شي حاجة كيكة. He's like, no. He's like laughing. Like, why would you ask me that? Who's talking about why would I ask you that? Who's that asking?
He's not used to accountability, brother.
I was like, bro, I said, listen, people come up to me all the time, say police. They might not be police. You know what I mean? But I knew that I knew the building because I'd been there before. Yeah. The building we were kind of in front of was the Haras. So I was like, go and then lead me in. Same guy that stopped me last year. Very quick this time. Very 10-minute, like, oh, how are you? What's up to you? Where you coming? Blah, 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 blah. See you later. Have a good day. You know, another thing. I get it.
Bro, you must be from a very little like village if they noticed you. Like you're the only non-local in the whole place.
Do you know what people say? people say, oh, it's because you've got beard and Tunisia's liberal and all this nonsense. Hey, do you know what? This time round, bro, I kid you not.
Mm.
Every time I go, beards everywhere. Hijab shari everywhere. Niqab is a little rarer. Doesn't mean it's not there. I've seen a few people wearing niqab, a few sisters wearing niqab.
Mm.
But hijab shari is coming back with a force, bro. I was walking past a college, and college age is kind of you know associated with liberalism, and then especially moving on to university. I don't think we've got a university in our town. I'm not sure. Oh no, we do, but I didn't go past it. But college, or the equivalent, that kind of age. Bro, there's so many sisters, young sisters wearing hijab shari all over the place. It's definitely not the most prominent. There's still, lots of women that just wearing normal hijab, or if anything, no hijab whatsoever. But these symbols are definitely prevalent in conservative towns, and you're not going to get like ostracized for wearing it like it used to be. Um,
Mm.
and it kind of reminds me what Mohammed spoke about in the episode you guys did. I saw a bit of it where people like make comments about, oh, this country is good for you to go to, or this country, this one's worse, and it's all about where you are in the country. As he said, it really is. You could go to a really liberal area in Turkey and wreck yourself, or you go to a really conservative area and have the best time of your life. Same with the UK. Like, you can be in a really liberal, messed up area and be like, oh, this is all for my dean. Or you can make hijrah to Birmingham, as many people say. Have a great time. Like, it's
Coventry
beyond.
Road.
Yeah, it's not. The only time you should look at the entire country uh, is if there's going to be things that affect your experience overall, no matter where you go, as opposed to just your day to day life.
Yeah, like
And it's
the
it's
countrywide rules, laws,
yeah,
these kind of things. Yeah.
and it's quite rare that there's going to be that much uh, governmental intervention in your day to day life. You might get these like stops by police and these. But if you put it in your mindset that, hey, you're a complete stranger, like, think how they're thinking. They don't know who you are. You're like now, let's be honest. Let's be honest. You got to be honest with ourselves. A lot of the troubles that come from European Muslims that are peddling extremism and stuff, they're from people that would essentially fit our bill. Just outsiders, no background, very transient. Like, that could be a perfect kind of persona, perfect portfolio for someone who wants to cause harm to a country. He's got no history, just flipping sent to whatever country to do X, Y, and Z, right? So
Mm.
if you help them in terms of get your story straight, have nothing to hide, be as transparent as possible, it should make things easier for you in the long run. Because it's like, okay, we know who this guy is. We know what he's about. We know what his day to day is like. Yes, it is an invasion of privacy, but like, this is the real world. We kind of have to deal with that, don't we? Um, do you
One
get a
thing I
lot of?
was thinking about, when you was talking about dealing with the issue with your neighbor trying to take the land and all that.
Mm,
When those kind of incidents happen, it reminds me of the role, the oversized role that the government plays in our lives, right? And this is more of a recent thing. At one point, bro, like, even if we're talking about Sharia, okay, following, like, having the judicial system based on
yeah,
the law of Allah and those kind of things. In the past, we talk about different rulers, kings, whatever, who were bad. Okay, they were oppressors of some sort. They might have even been drunkards or whatever. Okay, but generally under their rule, because the government, it was just not done at that time for the government to be so involved in people's day to day lives to that extent. Um, People would still, everything would be ruled by the law of Allah still, even if the
mm,
ruler is a drunkard, whatever, atheist, I don't know, right? Because it just was not the business of the state to get involved in that. The state was more about, okay, he might tax people here and there, which is problematic, but he might tax people here and there. He might say, okay, we're deciding we're going to invade this place, or we're going to send the army this place, or, these kind of decisions. But day to day life, growing food, selling food, the market, the court system, the masajid, the Islamic knowledge being spread, there weren't too many interventions into this part of your life. And that extends, though, to policing and stuff like that, right? Like in Algeria, there's a lot of instances where it's like people just don't turn to the authorities. You know, they don't call the police. They
Yeah.
don't call the whatever it is, yeah, or authorities, land department. I don't know. They just don't do it. Why? Maybe because they're used to like they're just. It's not. They don't take it that seriously. It's not really their job culturally. I mean, in that culture, it's not considered that, oh, they're going to take it so seriously. They're going to come and get involved and this and that. It's more like deal with it between yourselves, you know, which
Right. Yeah.
definitely has its down points, downsides. But it just reminds me, you know, in those moments, it's like, for example, someone's like encroaching on your land or whatever, you got to deal with that just between you and him. You can't. It's not like think about it, bro. It's like in school. Like you've got to
Yeah.
fight
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
someone, and instead of just fighting them, you run to the teacher and you say this. It's a bit of a weird thing, but this is what we're used to, isn't it? Like we're used to, if something's going wrong, okay, go to the authority figure. Whereas in many circumstances, you just got to deal with it between you. Okay, maybe you get some sort of elder involved, some sort of respected person in the town involved or whatever. But you know, there's just more hand to hand combat, should I say?
I wish that was still the case, but at least where we are, it is so like I was actually concerned that this guy is going to go and Yushki so to speak, like go and make a complaint about me, even though I've recorded
Mm,
everything, I haven't done anything, and I haven't literally done anything. I've just been present while he's trying to
mm,
step into the property. But like I said, it's super super prevalent. There was another example. Oh yeah, so on government intervention, there's obviously the discussion about corruption, and we spoke about corruption before, and how corruption is seemingly trying to be combated in a lot of North African countries, or a lot of countries in general in the global South, because that is a stigma that they have. Oh, it's all corrupt and corrupt top to bottom. One day, I was I don't know if I told you this, but I was trying to get another piece of paperwork done, as you can imagine, in the local council. So I'm waiting there. I'd already been running around so much, and I was like one of the last hurdles of the day, trying to get this last bit of paper done. It was about 3:30, 4-ish, and the place shuts at 5:30. I'm
mm,
getting there, bro. Put my paperwork in. They're like, okay, fine, we'll do it for you. All right, you run around. You got all the stuff you needed. Come on then. I'd already been there like 3 times that day. Put my ID card
yeah.
in. They're doing my paperwork. I'm like sweating, bro. I've been literally running across the town trying to get all this stuff ready before they shut. She's like, "Oh, sit down, sit down. You look tired."
Mm,
I sit down, bro. They're like, "Okay, all you got to do now, in 5 minutes or so, just pay the finance guy to my left, and you can get your paperwork." So before I can
mm.
pay that guy, bro, police just swarm into the men in suits, swarm into the building. Police will swarm into the building. I'm looking around, thinking, is it? It's not me. It's not me, is it? I was like, it's not me, is it? Anyway, bro, these guys in suits all go behind the desk. There's like
Mm,
glass desks, service desks, whatever. They
yeah.
go behind there, say hello to everybody. Guy with a camera comes in, starts taking photos, recording. So it was suits first, like 4 or 5
Mm,
suits, camera guy, then loads of police. Then they all kind of come in, and they go straight to the finance guy. The guy,
mm,
basically Kirsa, guy that deals with all the money, got all the paperwork, the receipts that they give you. Essentially, as a council, you go there, you get certain certificates or certain paperwork that you need. They stamp it, they authorize it, you pay them for the fee, and they give you the paperwork.
yeah.
Bro, they go in there, they start questioning the guy. They start saying, "Hey, right, why checking through the finance, the logbook, right? Why have
Mm,
you added this like this? Why is this calculated like that? What's going on here? Explain this to me." Blah
mm.
blah 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 blah. The guy's
Ruining
like
your
started
agenda,
sweating,
bro.
bro. Yeah, the finance guy, he starts sweating, bro.
Like that
Not to
meme.
mention, someone sent me back here to go to this place, right? Saying to me, "Hey, listen, don't worry about all that paperwork they told you to do. Just go back there. I've called the guy. He's going to sort it out for you." So somebody said this to me. I said
Mm,
to the guy, I said to that person, the contact, I said, "Listen, I don't care. I don't want you calling no one." I said to them, "Don't want him calling no one. I'm going to do it by the law, the way they asked me to do it. You give me the paperwork I need, I go." Do you understand? So imagine you're my
yeah.
contact. I'm going to you to collect this piece of paper. You're saying to me, "Don't worry. I've called the council. They're going to do it for you without the paper. Like, don't
Mm,
inconvenience me." And I'm sticking
yeah.
to it. I said, "No, I'm doing it properly. Don't mess me about. I'm not on this like backdoor deals calls guy." When I get there, I didn't mention this. The guy who does the money, he looks at me, goes like that. puts it like a
Mm.
phone to his ear, meaning that guy called me, I'm going to hook you up. I
Yeah,
said to him, I said, don't worry, I got the papers right here. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So when the police come and all the officials come, who do they go to? They go to that guy, bro. They go
Your
to that.
guy.
They go to the guy who took a call for me, who's going to help me out. So I was like, I
Yeah,
was sitting there like, you see, this is why I don't do dodgy things, man. I don't get involved in that. I don't know what's going on. Anyway,
yeah.
it's taken 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. Bro, they make
Oh,
the guy get all the money out of the locker. He's counting
oh.
coins individually. He's counting notes individually. Bro, I'm thinking, they're shutting this place down. Like, this is a corruption sting. They're shutting it down. They're telling me
Mm.
to sit down. They're telling everyone's coming in. Loads of locals are coming in. They want to see what's going on. I'm being told to sit
Really?
down. Everyone's being told to sit down. Yeah, bro. I can't leave because they've got half my paperwork and my ID card
Yeah,
across the desk.
yeah,
I can't leave
yeah,
without my ID, right? Sitting,
yeah.
sitting. I haven't prayed Asr yet. Maghrib's about to come in. Oh, bro, I'm like stressed out. Like, what's going? Anyway, eventually, I got up. Everyone's looking at me like, what's this guy doing? I said, hey, I need my ID card. I'm going to come back tomorrow. Alhamdulillah, there was a masjid right opposite. And I managed to run in there. They were getting ready for Maghrib. They hadn't gone yet, but I managed to pray Asr before Maghrib came in. And I basically took my ID card, came back the next day, got it done. I didn't know what happened. The contact guy, the guy who said
Was
to me,
he
don't
there the
worry.
next day?
Well, yeah, he was actually. But before we get to that, the guy who told me I'm wrong, don't worry about it. I called him up. I'm like, listen, I don't know what just happened, but I think your guy's been compromised. He's like, what happened? I said, man, all these guys in suits came in, all these police officers came in, they were all harassing the guy. He looked like he was going to cry. He was so stressed out. He's like, oh, but he hangs up on me. He goes off to find out what's happened. I'm thinking,
Right.
how do I know? I'm telling people are like, yo, that sounds crazy. Initially, I thought the president was coming, okay?
Mm.
Because on TV every day in Tunisia, more or less every day, on the news, state broadcast, right? State news. Presidents going to all these random places, surprising them, saying, "Hey, we're going to check out how you're doing.
Ah,
We're going to
like that.
inspect." Yeah, and
Mm.
it's legit. Like I've
Yeah.
heard from everyone I've spoken to, he legit does it. Like you might say, "Oh, it's all acted and stuff." Nah, like the locals in my town said he came once, just surprised, walked into an idara. What's going on here?
Mm.
Right, show
Mm.
me your things. Why is this like this? He went to like
That's
an
good.
state olive tree. So there's like olive groves that are owned by the state. Goes into the warehouses. He's like, why are all the machines like in half and bits have been missing and stuff? He's like, oh well, people came in and robbed them. He's like, no, you stole it and robbed it and sold it. Like he's fighting that corruption, and this is something that I've seen happening across North Africa. Allahu alam how legit it is, but we can only go based on what we see. Anyway, I thought president was coming. Didn't know who the guy was, the main guy who was leading this investigation or whatever. When I was there, I'm looking on Facebook. Everything's on Facebook, right? In North Africa. So
Yeah.
that later
Yeah.
that evening, I see that the guy was like the head of the whole county. So the main
Um,
guy that came in with the suit, I didn't recognize him. I was like, that looks like him. I identified him with ChatGPT as well. Did a little bit of research. And then like really late at night, they posted that page of the county leader, whatever his name is. He posted pictures and from the event. And he's basically like, very good and successful visit to the local town hall in such and such town. The people there are hardworking and they're great and blah, blah, blah. So it was literally a random check, not targeted, but they were just making sure everything was up to date. But because the guy was so
mm.
like panicky and stuff, I thought he's been caught here. He's something dodgy.
Mm.
But the moral of the story is when things are going bad and people are doing stuff under the rug without that government oversight, because every town's going to need is, local paperwork, things done, and local judges and local courthouses and local council offices. But things can get really dodgy. And I saw firsthand how someone wanted to bypass on my behalf this paperwork. He's like, don't worry, I know a
Mm.
guy.
Mm.
Because they said, I went there and they said to me originally, oh, you need this paper and this paper and this paper. And I'm like, mate, I just got everything. Like, I need to go again. They're like, yeah, go and come back. And on my way there, I'm calling my guy saying, get this other paperwork ready. He's like, nah, don't worry about it. I'm going to call them and sort it out for you.
Mm.
That is a bypass. That is a backhander. That is not that I'm even giving them money, but it's like, oh, ma'arfa, oh, I know someone. I'm going to sort it out. I try and
Yeah.
avoid all of that as much as possible. Because if those police walked in because of me, I'd have been like, he'd be like, who do you know here? I would have been like, oh God, I don't know. Do
Right.
you
Hmm.
understand? So
I do. I think.
how much do we welcome that interference or government oversight as opposed to not welcome it? That's the question.
Oh no, I think it's very good, but I would still take all the help I can get because because honestly, bro, the thing is, yeah, you can't take one thing and inject it into a foreign society, right? So
Yeah,
doing everything by the book, if you go to a society where not everything is by the book, it doesn't work. It's incompatible. In Algeria, for example, certain things you're just not going to get it done if you don't take those chances you have to get that insider help, right? So
yeah,
you just got to get all the help you can. Otherwise, especially if you're not born and raised there, you're at a disadvantage.
yeah,
Like I used that recently. I was trying to get visas for my kids to go to Algeria. If I didn't have any help on the inside, I just would not have been able to go. I probably would have had to reschedule my flight for the second time. I already spent, I think it was £180 to reschedule it first time. I would have had to reschedule it for like the next summer because would have just had to give up on going to my brother-in-law's wedding. So, and why is that? It's because a lot of the things they ask for, I just can't get it, or it would take me ages to get it. So I'm taking all the
yeah.
help I can get. I will say though that some of this help that people offered me, it just longed it out, right? At
Mm,
least it's like I'm relying on another person. I'm waiting for them to get back to me, and
yeah,
they're trying to be helpful. They're like, yeah, okay, let me call this guy and see. And then they take like 2 weeks. So sometimes it can long it out. But in the end, bro, like now that I'm thinking about it, if I had followed the normal process, I probably some things would have been quicker, but I would have had reached a wall. Basically, I wouldn't be able to
yeah,
go through because, like, one of the requirements is for the visa, for example, is that they need to have a residency permit in Turkey, and my youngest daughter
yeah.
doesn't have that yet, or didn't have it yet, so they would have just said no. But because I came through who I came through, they literally
Yeah,
just skipped. They skipped like 3 different requirements out of the 6 in total, or something.
yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, bro. I will take all that I can. At the same time, I think it's good, bro, if this whole society can move towards a more doing things by the book. I don't like the thing is like I was gonna say I don't like UK level where it's like over the top, but generally UK is okay because everyone does things by the book, and at the same time like the people working there do things by the book, and the people who are coming to ask for the services doing things by the book. Generally it's okay. There definitely are circumstances where things are too much, like you were talking
Yeah.
sometimes about in the police, that there's certain processes and paperwork, and it just
Oh,
makes
yeah, tell me
people
about it.
try and avoid it. I like Turkey where it's 70% everything by the book, and then 30% there's wiggle room. There's
Yeah,
wiggle room so things don't get too rigid. um
yeah.
and then there are many countries, of course, which is the other way around, where it's like 70% like just random or to see how it
Discretion.
goes. Yeah,
Yeah.
discretion, yeah. And 30% by the book. So yeah, but I remember there was a time, it was a long time ago, but it was like a statement that Mohamed Barashid, who's the basically the head of Dubai Emirates, he he turned up in an office like that one day. Maybe he did multiple visits like this, and he came at like 11 a.m. and none of the people are there.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
um and then they were all fired and stuff, and he's like trying to make a statement and stuff. So that kind of stuff is good, bro. That's I mentioned before in the UAE, they're pretty good with this stuff like corruption, and specifically Dubai is the obviously you could expect this. Dubai is the least tribal emirate in the UAE. It's the least traditional in that sense. It's the least place where you can get family favors and this and that.
Right.
And so, yeah, they try and do things professionally. I would say they are pretty professional in most areas, and that comes from the top a lot of the time. So he had this has this way of thinking that he wants to do things everything legit by the book. So he wanted to make that what's the word? Make an impression, make that clear.
Mm.
So the thing though is sometimes they'll do it just to show, but they're not really like that. But I think in Dubai they're mostly actually like that. That's why in Dubai, like since I left the UAE about 4 years ago, the process for like visas or residency permit stuff is like even faster and even better and even smoother. Someone was even telling me, who lives in Qatar, he's like, I renew my residency permit through an app. I just like upload documents and then they'll just like give me a response. Oh, it's approved. Like crazy, man.
Yeah,
So good.
yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it's all checks and balances a lot of the time. You just got to know, like, when something is feeling iffy, to kind of cut your losses and try and avoid it, because you just don't want to shoot yourself in the foot later on. But you know when you've got no choice. You know, like you said, you've reached the
Yeah.
point of, like, you've hit a wall and there's nothing further that you can do but ask someone for help. Like, I've never ever paid anyone to do me a favor. Like, I've never like
Mm.
done any rushwa or anything like that. And I can see how that can happen. I think people will do me favors thinking that I'm gonna sort them out and help them out
And then
later
you
on. I've
stabbed them in the back, bro.
alone. You've never said, said nothing. Like, sometimes
Yeah.
someone is like super trying to be super helpful and bigging up all this stuff they've done for you behind the scenes. I'm like, okay, thanks. you know,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
think they get disappointed that I'm not going to just like give them 50 quid or whatever it is on the side. Like, no, you did your job. Well done. Congratulations.
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
Exactly.
so
And that's the problem with tips or bribes is people stop doing the basic job unless they get the bribe. So
yeah, man. Well, alhamdulillah, I think that kind of airdropping onto organizations and seeing whether they're doing well or doing dodgy stuff behind the scenes is it's really good. It's really inspiring to see, and hopefully uh, that kind of corruption gets eradicated from North Africa and all Muslim
yeah,
countries in general.
it's definitely
Um,
good overall. It's definitely a good thing overall. I just hope that it's done at all levels though,
yeah,
because I think it might actually be rare that it's only done on lower levels, right? Because once you start holding everyone to account at the lower levels, they expect you to hold yourself account and the people high up to also be held to account, and it causes that kind of inequality that makes people really angry. So
yeah,
yeah, it's good if people can move in that direction. I think it helps a lot. Like corruption, really ruins countries a lot of the time. And Tunisia has a chance
absolutely.
of sorting it out, I think, because small country, 12 million population. I just looked it up. So it's a lot more doable than Algeria, I think. Um, in Algeria, what a lot of people complain about is the government is just not present. So they
Right.
kind of they have a bit more laid back approach, like sort things out between yourselves. Obviously, though, like with a lot of the modern phenomenon problems, it's like you're working on you're working against an international like mafia or gang or whatever, right? Or like they're importing drugs from this country and they're getting financing from here and this and that, and then it's
Mm,
just you and your town like against them. Like you can't win
yeah.
that, right? Or that's just one example, but you get what I mean. So you do need the state to get involved, but Allah harder, as they say.
Yeah, some people love it though. Some people are addicted to getting to writing out lawsuits and challenging people in court, and it day in day out, spending their whole life in court cases and yishki with everyone, and like that guy that I
Mm.
mentioned, like his apparently he's got like 100, well, 100, maybe I'm exaggerating, but so many court cases with just local people because he just likes harassing
Mm.
them. And I've asked, I'm like, what's going on? Like, my lawyer said to me about someone else actually, because I have someone else I've got a court case with, just a tenant essentially who's not paying and not leaving.
Mm.
And he was like, my lawyer's like, they've had this court case in the court for so long, and now they've just decided they're going to switch it to a different court. And he's like, I think something's going on in the background. I think there's a bit of, like
Mm.
money and all this
Mm.
stuff. And I was like, oh man, I can't compete with these people. Like, the guy's not paying me rent; he's paying other people off. Like, why?
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? At
yeah,
least
yeah,
just pay me the
yeah,
rent, right?
yeah.
Um, but Allah Yahdina, man. It's sad
Mm.
sometimes because it's like people, diaspora, practicing Muslims in the West would see stuff like that and think, whoa, this is meant to be Muslims, man. What the hell's going on? Like, when you're in a Muslim country, yeah, everyone's Muslim. Like, that doesn't really change that there's good people and bad people. You know, people might see in the West, like see a practicing person or with a beard and stuff and think, oh, they've just committed a crime. How could they? Subhanallah, astaghfirullah. There's that disconnect of reality. Like they're just human as well as everyone else in a Muslim country that might commit a crime. People get robbed in Muslim countries. People get attacked in Muslim countries. They're just they say Salamu alaikum, alhamdulillah, and they fast Ramadan, and they might even pray, but they might commit crimes and stuff. Like you can't
and
travel
different
to a Muslim
societies have
country
different societies have different things that they're used to as being bad, but like it's a normal kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
So in whatever Tunisia, it might be a bit of this corruption, and for you in the UK, that's so shocking. But in the UK, there are things that Muslims do that would be shocking to someone in Tunisia. So it's like everyone has, different kind of things that they're just like numb to, I guess. That's
yeah. You just got to be street smart, man. Like I see a lot of people traveling to different countries. I think Ben Iqra, I don't know if you know him, video editor, and does a lot of stuff on YouTube and stuff. He's just moved to Turkey.
He's in Turkey, yeah.
Yeah, I saw a viral video that was going around on the Turkish side of Twitter. Where they were like, "Oh, English man comes to Turkey and praises it for no drug."
They were loving it, bro.
But all the comments were like, "Oh, this British agent, he's an agent." They were calling him an agent. I don't know what the agenda was behind him saying that. Maybe they thought that they're not liking the idea that he's bringing more immigrants over to Turkey. Maybe it's that kind of angle, like, oh, he's a British agent. Allahu alam. I don't think anyone was referring to him as being like, quote unquote, Salafi or Muslim or Bidi or whatever you want to, those kind of labels like, oh, look at these Islamics coming over to Turkey and encouraging more people to come over. But I think they just saw him as like a British guy. There were also criticisms under those videos of like, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. There's druggies everywhere kind of thing. But the same people commenting that haven't been in the UK. They don't know what it's like. So there's that counterpoint as well. They don't like I speak to my cousin in Tunisia, and before he couldn't understand what I was talking about when I was talking about the scene in the UK and the drugs and the homelessness and the this and that. And then he went to Italy. And then he came back. He went to Italy for work or whatever. And he's like, oh, I understand now. I know you mean. He's like, oh, I went to Italy and there was a street in Italy and it was crazy. It was just like, people injecting in the streets and street fights and, the typical town city environment in Europe, which they just can't imagine. These kind of facts and realities are reaching a lot of the global South / Muslim world now, and maybe they're a little bit more disillusioned with Europe. Although, we do see those not hijra. What was the word I'm thinking of? Haraga pages encouraging youth and that to live the European dream, baby, chase it. Eiffel Tower,
jump off a boat and swim to the beach. Hope the Coast Guard doesn't catch you. Yeah, absolutely, it's sad, bro. A lot of desperation.
There is.
Okay, let's wrap it up there. Inshallah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we still got a little bit extra to slap on. Yeah, we originally recorded a big podcast episode, didn't we? And we cut it off because sometimes you got to make assessments. Pros and cons
to be released coming soon. Let's say
those are the
coming now.
Mind Heist X-Files. You'll have to pay us for those episodes.
Yes, what's it called, bro? Is it called the Lost Tapes? The Lost
Tapes. Yeah. So this episode, it will start with a previously recorded episode, and then it will transition into what we've just spoke about now.
Bro, where's the Lost Tapes come from? Who's the first to use that?
I don't know, man. You guys are just lucky I didn't make this episode about UAPs and UFOs and stuff, because that was something that happened, wasn't it?
Is that next? Yeah. Next episode.
Well, someone commented once, because we did a title with that, and someone commented once. I saw the title and almost skipped the whole episode. I was like, okay, maybe our audience isn't into that kind of stuff.
Always got to be open-minded, man.
One day, I'm going to force those Aira guys, Imran and Farouk, to come online and talk to us, or talk to me if you're not interested, about all this UFO stuff, and I'm just going to relish in it. And then we can get it one and done out of the way and move on.
Yeah, bro. Maybe we can even get one of them on the podcast.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Like an actual UAP.
Oh, yeah. I'll speak to the US government. I've got some connects. See what they got.
Yeah. Area 51.
Absolutely.
All right. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
Salam.